So now, the nurse that I'm telling you about, the newer nurse, she goes on lunch, but she doesn't tell me she's going on lunch. Okay. Mind you, I had been on the Pitocin for a little while. The last time that she came into the room before going on lunch, she came into the room and she's like, oh, I was like, are they ever going to come and check me again to see if I'm dilating? She's like, no, it's too soon. You're a first timer. So usually for first timers, they don't dilate so quickly. So we're just going to keep you on the Pitocin. We're going to keep on upping it up. So she upped it up again. And I'm like, listen, I have the epidural and I'm feeling the contractions still. Like I can actually feel them. I feel like I'm getting there. Like I'm actually dilating. She's like, no, trust me, you're not. So she leaves, she goes on lunch. I page for the nurse because at this point, like, I was getting like really strong contractions. I page for the nurse. Another nurse comes in and she's like, oh, your nurse is on lunch. So she's going to be out for an hour. You just have to wait. I'm like, what? So I tell the nurse that comes in, like the one that she's not assigned to my suite. She's assigned to someone else. I tell her, I was like, listen, I think I'm almost ready to push. She's like, there's no way. Like you've only been on the Pitocin for this long. Mind you, it was already like probably like around 9:45, 10 p.m. I had been on it for quite a bit of hours, but she's like, oh, you're a first timer. First timers go for more than 24 hours. You're going to be here like sometimes even 3 days, 72 hours. I'm like, no, trust me. My body reacts well to medication. I think I'm ready to push. She's like, okay, so your nurse is not here, but I'm going to have to call a doctor down so they could check you to see how dilated you are. So a doctor comes in and he checks me and he's like, you're ready to push. The baby's head is right there. I look at the freaking nurse and I'm like, I told you, I know my freaking body. So she pages my other nurse, my main nurse, and she's like, listen, you have to come. Your suite 3 is ready to push. Like, she's ready to go. So, my delivering doctor comes in and the anesthesiologist, they want an anesthesiologist present, another doctor, because at this point, oh my goodness, there was 2 scenarios in which it was a little nerve-wracking throughout the whole labor and delivery experience. One of them was the point when my heart rate was accelerating and they had to call in all these doctors. Then the other point was, when I wasn't on the epidural. I missed this part within the middle of everything. The baby's heart rate started dropping, and they're like, oh, the baby's heart rate is dropping. If this continues to happen, we might have to do something. But I noticed about my son from even in my belly, okay? Like anytime I would like put my hand on something, he would kick at my hand. So he didn't like any compression. He didn't like anything like on him. And they had all these monitors on me. So I felt him kicking at the monitor. And I told her, I was like, I don't think it's that his heart rate is decreasing. What I think is happening is that he's kicking exactly where the monitor is at. And she's like, okay, but that shouldn't like be like that. Like usually that doesn't happen. So they put me back on the monitors. Everything stabilized. And I'm like, you see, I told you, like, you know something? When you're pregnant, you have to be your own advocate and you need to really know your body. Like, you get to know your body on another level. And even before your baby's born, you already know your baby and you know their tendencies. You know when they're awake, when they're asleep, when they have hiccups. Like, you feel all of that. It's so cute. It's the cutest thing ever. But, okay. I'm getting sidetracked again. So, everybody's in the room now. We're ready to push. My nurse is still nowhere to be found. I think she was still having her lunch. And the other nurse that was assigned to the other suite is actually assisting. So they're getting me ready. I start pushing. I was pushing for about how long? 25 minutes, and then it got to the point where I was doing so great pushing. Like the doctor even was telling me, she's like, listen, for a first time, and she's like, you're doing great. She's like, continue. And every time, like, you don't know how to push. Like, there's different ways of pushing, and I'm a first time mom. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, so I'm just pushing. She's like, push like you're taking a poop, and you have to push like using your muscles down there. So when you have the epidural, you don't feel any pain, but you can feel the pressure. So I kept on pushing, and she's like, oh, you're doing good. Like the baby's head is there. Oh my gosh, we can see so much hair. And like she's just like so excited. Like she's really like encouraging me and my mom, and oh, they're all like, oh my gosh, you're doing so great. Continue. So the doctor tells me, she's like, listen, now the baby's heart rate is starting to drop again. She's like, you have no need to go into a C-section. She's like, you've done so good. The baby is right there. I can see him. Just with a little bit more, he's going to come out. She's like, let's do one more push. She's like, if the baby doesn't come out here, what I'm going to have to do is an episiotomy. I hope I said that right. Like, okay, at this point, I'm like, listen, do whatever you have to do. As long as my baby's safe, that's all I care about. Like, I don't care. Like, I was pushing for so long. I'm like, it's okay. I just want my baby out and I want to know he's good. Because they were getting me nervous every time they were talking about his heart rate going down. So I push, and I could feel him going a little bit lower, like he was about to come out, but it just wasn't there. So she was like, okay, I'm gonna do the episiotomy. She did episiotomy, like when they cut just a tiny pinch, just to give you that extra little push that you need to get your baby out, because your canal is a little bit more narrow, so you're like blocking the baby from coming out. So she did that little push, and within a second later, she told me, push right now. I pushed and he was out. And let me tell you something, that was the most beautiful thing ever. Like, you actually feel your baby come out. And the minute he came out, I heard his cry, and then they threw him on me, and everything else was history. So basically, that concludes my whole labor and delivery experience. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I will put on, like, I'm gonna put in some other clips eventually. Like, I have certain little clips that we took, like when I was actually in labor, when I was getting pain. We recorded the whole footage of me actually pushing and when the baby came out, and every time I hear it, it's just like the most beautiful recording ever, and I would like to post that one day. So I'm gonna share much more. I also want to share my postpartum experience, like in terms of recovering from a episiotomy, also just the whole experience overall when it comes to your mental state, your physical state, everything. Like, it's just a lot to touch base on all in one day. But I hope you guys enjoyed my labor and delivery experience, and yeah, I'm glad to be back. See you guys in my next TikTok. Bye.